Hi my loves, it's Maria. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new here and you just found me. In this channel, I read poetry, and on Thursdays, I'm talking about other topics that interest me. It's something new I'm doing here with this channel, and if it doesn't work out, I'll just stick to poetry. But in today's topic, I just wanted to talk about love and self-sabotage. Self-sabotaging behaviors around romantic love. Yesterday was Valentine's Day, and usually Valentine's Day is just another day for me, but I don't know if it's the fact that I am in my 30s now, and next year I'll be entering my mid 30s. So it's like uncertain territory right now. And I think that maybe that's what prompted a train of thought yesterday about myself in relation to romance and what has been my experience these past 10 years when it comes to romantic love. And I feel that every single chance I've had to have a relationship these past 10 or 12 or so years, I have self-sabotaged. I have not given even an opportunity to these relationships to develop. And I wonder why that is. Why do we self-sabotage romantic love? And I think we can do that for a variety of reasons. In my case, I feel like there's definitely an element of self-esteem and also a fearful, avoidant personality. I'm not a psychologist, but I've been reading about this for a while. Especially because, personally inside of me, I feel like I want to have a romantic relationship, but at the same time, I feel like there's something within me that doesn't. There's something within me that whenever I am faced with the possibility of getting into a relationship with someone, I just, like, that part of me just wants to run away and destroy any chance of it. To understand why that happens, we first have to understand what self-sabotage means. And there's a book I read last year, is very good on this topic. It is called The Mountain Is You by Brianna Wiest. I actually have it right here with me. And she describes self-sabotage as follows. This is from chapter 2. She says, "There is no such thing as self-sabotage." I'm just gonna read this entire first page because I feel like there's a lot of good information here that I don't wanna skip. But this is chapter 2, this is page 27, and it goes like this. "There's no such thing as self-sabotage. When you habituate yourself to do things that move your life forward, you call them skills. When they hold your life back, you call them self-sabotage. They are both essentially the same function. Sometimes it happens by accident. Sometimes we just get used to living in a certain way and fail to have a vision for how life could be different. Sometimes we make choices because we don't know how to make better ones or that anything else is even possible. Sometimes we settle for what we're handed because we don't know we can ask for more. Sometimes we run our lives on autopilot for long enough that we begin to think we no longer have a choice. However, most of the time it's not accidental at all. The habits and behaviors you can't stop engaging in, no matter how destructive or limiting they may be, are intelligently designed by your subconscious to meet an unfulfilled need, displaced emotion, or neglected desire." Then she goes on to say that overcoming self-sabotage is not about trying to figure out how to override your impulses. It is first determining why those impulses exist in the first place. What is self-sabotage? She defines it like this. Self-sabotage is when you have two conflicting desires. One is conscious, one is unconscious. You know how you want to move your life forward, and yet you are still, for some reason, stuck. Basically, in simple words, I think what she's saying is that there is no such thing as self-sabotage. What self-sabotage actually is our subconscious mind coming up with some sort of coping mechanism to cover some unfulfilled needs and desires that we have that we haven't properly recognized or understood just yet. And we just engage in these behaviors because that's sort of what our mind is doing to protect us, to protect us from something that we don't want to experience subconsciously or that we are just afraid. In my case, I feel like it's some sort of fear that I have of certain experiences and expectations that exist when you're engaging or like when you're involved in a romantic relationship with someone. I feel that even though I want the romantic relationship, there are things within having a romantic relationship that I am afraid to experience, and I don't know exactly where it comes from, but I feel like there's a combination of things that might have caused it. For example, growing up Catholic in a strict sort of conservative environment can make a person feel fearful of engaging in a romantic relationship because we were taught that having a boyfriend was wrong, that being in a romantic relationship and having intimacy with another person of the opposite sex was sinful unless you were married, that you could only engage in intimacy of any kind if you were going to be serious with this person, and get married. I feel like that creates a conflict in the mind. Yes, you should want a romantic relationship, but at the same time, it's wrong to have a romantic relationship, so I just feel that creates some sort of conflict in the mind. And then when you do engage in a romantic relationship, you're fearful of what could happen. You don't want to experience certain natural feelings because it's sinful, I feel like that has something to do with it. But at the same time, as I said, it's also a personality thing. In my case, I have felt sometimes that it would be ridiculous for someone to fall in love with me because I'm just not the type of person someone would fall in love with, and that couldn't be farther from the truth. Everyone is worthy of being loved and falling in love, and just pulling yourself away from it because you feel like it may never happen and it's just a ridiculous idea. It's just sad, and it is something that I have to work with. And if you're experiencing the same thing, there's a few things that we can do to work with it. I feel like every single person is unique in how to solve this problem because the root comes from different places depending on the persons. And in some cases, this sort of self-sabotage is good when you take into consideration certain things. For example, some of these opportunities that I had at romance in this past 10 years, they went against my true desires. For example, I have met people whose goals were completely different than mine, and even if I had feelings towards this person and eventually I broke it off myself due to this fear that I have of being intimate in engaging in a romantic relationship and all that, it was good in the long run because that relationship was going to fail, or if it didn't, we were both going to be unhappy at some point, and eventually, it was going to fail because you don't want to be with a person whose goals in life are different than yours. It's just a recipe for disaster. But in that case, I just feel like it was for the best. But when the other person is a good person and they have, their goals are aligned with you and they're just everything you envisioned, but the fear comes in and you start sort of looking for excuses to break things off and to sort of put a stop to whatever's happening there, it's not a good thing, and it's something that we need to overcome. As I mentioned earlier, I'm not a psychologist. I don't have the answer exactly on what to do, but what I'm doing myself is practicing self-acceptance. I am trying to, understand myself, why I do this, why I engage in these behaviors that sabotage my relationships, and why I behave this way when I like a person, why I decide to, remove myself from the situation and even stop talking to the person, or just leave the place completely. I have left a place completely when there was this guy that I liked. We were both in the same class, and I was 21 at the time, so that was ages ago. But I actually voiced my feelings to this person, and that ended up being, a misunderstanding. He didn't see me that way. And for me to just not face those emotions, I just removed myself from the situation. This is something I should talk about in another video because I think it's different. When there's rejection and you basically can handle that rejection emotionally, you start blaming yourself for whatever happened. It's not your fault because you're not responsible for other people's feelings, especially not how they feel about you. Yeah, that's a topic for another video. But, to conclude this video, what I'm doing to sort of, understand why I engage in these behaviors and see if in the future I can probably find someone and not push them away, is trying to find within myself the root of the problem. Like, I know that part of it is my self-esteem, so I am practicing self-acceptance and also understanding that trying to break away from those thoughts of my childhood that being with a man was sinful, that I just have to work within myself, find the space that I need to heal, and I need to heal my perception of myself. It is not ridiculous if someone wants to fall in love with me. It is not ridiculous because I am perfectly capable. I am perfectly fine as I am as a human being. I am perfectly capable of love and worthy of receiving love as I am, and I need to sort of find this place of self-acceptance within myself in order to move forward and allow love to come in and allow people to get closer. I feel like I even push away my friends. I'm terrible at keeping my friends. I can engage in conversation for days and days, and then suddenly I can't find how to keep the conversation going, and I just end up pushing people away. Like, I have had people told me that they thought I was cold, and it's not that I'm cold, it's just that at some point, I just don't know how to keep this relationship going, even if it's just a friendship. You know what I'm saying? I've had very good female friends who, at some point, I don't know what happened, that the relationship just sort of fizzled out. And even though we were confident in each other and we cared deeply about each other, at some point, and I feel like it comes from myself, the relationship just fizzles out, and I don't know how to reach out. I will say hi on a message or something, but when they want to meet up with me, sometimes I just don't want to meet up with them because I don't know what I'm going to say. And, it comes from this place of fear, of the unknown, I guess. There's so much uncertainty in relationships. People are unpredictable, and you can't always predict how someone's going to react to you, how someone's going to feel about you. And you can never predict those things. You can never predict how someone's going to feel and act a certain day. So you're just going to have to accept that some things are unpredictable. We can't control everything, and we certainly can't control how other people feel about us. We can certainly not control what's going to happen in the relationship, but if we put a stop to it before it can blossom into something, then we're never going to find out what's going to happen. As I said, sometimes it's good to put a stop to things, but other times you should just let it run its course. If it wasn't going to happen, then it didn't happen. But what if it was going to be something beautiful and everything you wanted, but you stopped it because of fear? You know what I'm saying? So to conclude this video, I want to say that in order to heal this fear of attachment, or this fearful avoidant attachment that I have, and that maybe you have if you're watching this video, is that we need to find this place of self-acceptance within us. And maybe we can't love ourselves as we are right now, but at least accepting that we're in this position and knowing that we're worthy of love I think it's a good first step in basically, not allowing fear to dictate the decisions that we take, especially if these decisions will just stop us from experiencing something that we desire. So to end this video, I want to finish it off with another quote by Brianna Wiest. I just love her writing and the way that she thinks. This is from The Pivot Year, which I'm currently reading this year. This is day 4 and it goes like this. I'm gonna read the entire thing because it's very short and I believe it's aligned with today's topic. It goes like this. Self-protection is learning how to take a pause between what you feel and how you react. When there is no awareness between what you perceive and the way that you respond, anything can control you. Practice the pause. Widen the space between what you sense and what you do about it. Decide what's worth your energy because what you engage with is what you empower. In other words, if you keep saying to yourself, there's no way that person can fall in love with me, it would be ridiculous, or I cannot fall in love with that person, I cannot let things move forward because then this or that other thing will happen and I don't want to go through that, I don't want to experience that, even though I do want to have a relationship with that person. If you keep feeding these fearful emotions and thoughts, that's what you're gonna keep receiving in return. But if you start nurturing self-acceptance and having compassion for yourself and allowing yourself to receive love, even through the fear, because I believe we're still gonna be afraid at the beginning, but there's so much uncertainty in love and relationships. But if you allow space for things to develop naturally, and whether they work out or not, you're going to start allowing space in your life for more and more love and experiences that you want to come in. I believe, what you put out is what you get in. So that's a good place to start, opening ourselves to love and accepting ourselves as we are right now. So that was it for this video. I hope you liked it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up and maybe comment, tell me your experiences. Do you self-sabotage your relationships? Let's have a conversation. And please subscribe to this channel if you want more content like this. I am adding these sort of new topics on Thursdays. On Mondays, I read poetry by myself usually, and hopefully I want to read poetry by other authors, but up until this point, I haven't gotten around to it, so I'm just reading my own poetry. But yes, I hope you like this video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.